Hi everyone, I'm Vone, owner and maker of Vone Knits and the founder of the Handmade Creative Mastermind. Today's creative interview is with the beautiful Julie Cantrell from Ella Bella Lanes is the name of her shop. Hi Julie.
Hi,
Tell everybody about yourself.
my name is Julie, like Bones mentioned, and I am a full-time mom. I have two children that I stay home with and homeschool. My 15-year-old is starting his 10th grade year, and I also work with a local nonprofit that is just now starting and getting running. So then I have my shop in the spare time.
Spare time shop. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll circle back to that. Let's talk about a little bit about your nonprofit.
Okay.
So what is it? What are you doing?
It's actually, we are starting it's not just theater, it's for arts and arts education. It's called Warren Arts. That's the county that we live in. And we're in the process of getting a building and incorporating all sorts of, my son is in theater. He's very active in theater. So that's how we kind of all got together. There's 11 of us that are on the board, and we have known each other through the theater, most of us, and there's a music teacher and all sorts of artists in the mix. And so we are starting a local arts education.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, so you're extremely busy.
Yes.
You're extremely busy.
Yeah.
That's great. Are you so now that let's circle back to your Etsy shop. So when did you start your Etsy shop?
I believe I opened in 2015, and I actually just opened it. I grabbed the name and just kind of had the shop sitting there for a long time before I ever listed my first listing, which was actually last year, maybe this time of year last year. And I really haven't done a whole lot with my Etsy shop. It's not filled right now. There may be one listing. It may have even expired. I just am not really active at the moment on my Etsy shop.
That's what's amazing about having Etsy is the fact that you don't have to be active. Like you can just have it and know that it's there, and when you're ready you can just go and go all in on it. And but if not, then it could just be there and know that it's in the background, and it's a dream that you're still gonna pursue and attain to. So that's great. So you've have you had any sales on there?
I've just actually had one sale, and that was actually from a fairly local order, and I did a custom listing for her, and so I just have had the one sale.
That's awesome. And were you able to get the review on that sale?
She actually did not leave a review for that.
So so you have one sale on Etsy and no review. Did you ask her for a review?
I did not. She was thrilled with her product.
Right.
She sent me a picture. It was a baby hat, a custom baby hat. And she even sent me a picture after she had her newborn's picture done. And she loved the hat. She just never did. And I actually don't think she was an Etsy user prior to that. I think she signed up just for that purchase.
That's actually what I wanted to mention to you, because a lot of people don't realize what it takes to get a review on a sale. Unfortunately, in this day and age, especially even when you sell on Amazon, everything is about the reviews. Or selling online, everything is about looking at the reviews and people. But so people are always wondering, how do I get a review? How do I get a rating? Because it's already bad enough. We're already shy enough to ask for sales, and then to actually have the guts to ask for, can you leave a feedback?
Right.
But that's essentially what it really does come down to, is leaving asking somebody to leave a feedback. So my tip, because everybody's always asking, how do I do that? How do I approach that? And what I normally do, because I think at this point I have about 70 sales, and I have about 44 5-star reviews.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm pretty proud of the reviews, because I'm actively engaging in asking for that review. And
Yeah.
I'm an incredibly shy person. You know, I'm a big introvert and everything. So what I ended up learning to do is, and this is my biggest tip for everybody to get those reviews, is normally when you send it, when they receive a sale, you tell them, you know how like the automatic message, or you message them saying your item is shipped and everything. You know what I mean? Hopefully you'll get it a certain day and enjoy your order. I usually ask for, and if you have a second, please, you know what I mean, leave a review, because I'm a new seller.
Oh,
And
okay.
people like, you know what I mean, people like this is because you are new, and you know what I mean. So it's and it's great to let people know that, and so that they can support you, like your customer who loved their stuff but she didn't know, you know what I mean, don't realize
Right.
that how important it is for a new seller. So I normally, like, for the beginning, I was just like, I'm a brand new seller, I would love it if you could leave a take 2 seconds to leave a review. That would be great, you know what I mean. And I've gotten a lot of good reception that way. And then afterwards, so if they haven't reviewed it, you know what I mean, or so half the time they would respond back within a quick message, go, great, I can't wait to get it, and I will definitely leave a review, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
they know that is what you're expecting of them, you know what I mean. So,
Right.
and they're usually very receptive to do so. And so, and then once the item is shipped, and what I do is when I know that the item is shipped, I'll touch base with them and make sure and ask them if they've received the item, you know what I mean, and what they thought, and then remind them again about the review, you know what I mean.
Okay.
And it's not like pushy, it's not, you know what I mean, like being too forward. It's just a general reminder, and it's not something that, even if I got that reminder, I would be appreciative of it. So I
Right.
don't see it as like annoying, you know what I mean? Like, because we're all busy and we all have a bunch of things going on and we all have distractions every which way. And so, like, if somebody like gently reminds me, oh, can you know what I mean, do this little favor for me, that would be great. And I'm always like, yeah, thank you for reminding me, you know what I mean.
Right.
So
Okay.
I would never look at it as you're being too pushy, but I think that's like a great way to get a review. I mean, that's how I've essentially, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And half the time when they say I want to leave a review, half the time they're always like, I don't even know how. So then I have to show it
Right.
to them, you know what I mean. So if you're not even actively asking, then they don't even know that they did, that you were needing to ask them to do
Right.
that, and then they don't even know how to do it. So, and half the time people, and we're so shy, we're actually thinking, oh, if they're not responding, they don't like our stuff, so you know what I mean, we don't want to push.
Yeah.
But
Right.
most half the time they don't even know, because they're like your customer, she probably is not Etsy inclined, you know what I mean. I have a lot of people that would message me and say, I want to leave a review, but I have no idea how.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's my PSA for anybody that wants a review. So this will be a great one to, while I promote this interview, so that's great. So what social media platforms are you on?
I am on Facebook. I'm not as active on Facebook. I am on Instagram. I'm definitely more active on Instagram for my shop. And then I really haven't. I've been watching the other interviews where you have told the benefits of Pinterest, and I'd really need to start on Pinterest. I'm personally on Pinterest, but I haven't put business stuff on there.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I'm the same way with Pinterest. Well, my stuff is on Pinterest, but it's not as structured as it should be. I'm definitely not utilizing Pinterest in the way that I need to be. But one day, someday. But I'm like addicted to Instagram, so it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And it's hard to break a habit, I guess. And I love Instagram, the fact that it's quick and but with Pinterest, it definitely will help. I mean, so what kind of stuff do you sell? Like, what kind of stuff do you make? First of all, are you a knitter or a crocheter?
I'm a crocheter.
A crocheter. So all
I'm a
crochet.
crocheter. Yeah. All of it's crochet. I do a broad spectrum of cowls, scarves. Well, not really, not your type of scarves, but more like triangle scarves. And last year, the mermaid tail blankets were big orders for me. Infant hats. I don't really do blankets. I do smaller projects. I like
Mhm.
the smaller, quicker projects.
Yeah, hence the scars for me. But even some people would look at scars as like a bigger ordeal too. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
the hats and the gloves and everything like that. So how do you do your own patterns or do you follow patterns?
I usually just follow patterns. I love to purchase patterns or use free patterns. I definitely, there's a couple of makers that I support their pattern writing. I would love to eventually write my own patterns and be able to sell those, but I just have not had a chance to really work on that
Right.
yet. So
Right.
that's a dream for my
That's
future.
great. I love supporting pattern writers too. Like you know, so I'm half the time I just buy the patterns to support the pattern writer, and then I never make it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just because I love the work, and I'm definitely all about supporting that work. But
Yeah.
who has time in the day,
I know. I know. I
right?
don't yet.
To
Maybe
make
someday.
everything, it's like oh. It's like, but the patterns are still beautiful, and it should still be purchased and supported. Like that's how I look at it too.
Exactly.
But that's great. How many years have you been crocheting?
Really, I learned as a child.
Mhm.
I think maybe my grandmother was a crocheter, and I don't think that she taught me. I think my mother taught me just simple like chain stitching and maybe single crochet stitches, and that was when I was probably 9. I didn't do that as a child much, but then fast forward to maybe my early 20s after I was married, and I kind of picked it up again, but that was back before, that was when the internet was, fairly new. It was before YouTube and all those easy access ways to learn. And then I would pick it up every now and then again for a little while and put it back down. But the past probably maybe 5 years, I have really, consistently worked on my crochet and improved. And so that's probably, within the last 5 years, I've become more serious about it and I crochet all the time now. So,
Right. Julie, you're just like me. I'm the same way. I learned it as a kid through my aunt or something, and it never like I always like knew that I could, but I never did. You know what I mean? Like I remember playing with the chains and everything, and I didn't pick it up until after I was married in my late 20s,
yeah.
and then I think it just needed something to do, maybe. You know what I mean? Like from all the house choring and everything, it was my way of de-stressing. Was let me pick up some stuff and learn the craft. And I'm not big on the internet, so I never, you know what I mean. This YouTube and
Yeah.
is a whole crazy discovery that I've never been like I haven't been on the internet since like a year or two ago when I decided to sell online. But
Yeah.
if I only knew what YouTube would teach us, you know what I mean? I could have been doing this a lot sooner. But I used to watch like the PBS stations of, do you watch that Knit and Crochet Now and Knitting Daily or my two favorite ones, and they don't always show because the local stations. So it was like such a rarity for me to get it, you know what I mean, and watch it, and those are the things that used to inspire me on and get back to knitting and learning to crochet. And then eventually I had to learn to knit because my arms
Yeah.
are keeping me with crocheting. So
Yeah. I did it old school with, books, actual books.
yeah, that's me too. Big library. I love to go to the library or the bookstore and sit and flip through the magazines and flip through I it's so funny because with Pinterest, I never people use like online for their source of inspiration, and I just never did. It just I think it overwhelms me, like I've mentioned before. But I love going to the library, and then whenever they ask us to, what do you want to do? I'm always like, let's go to the bookstore because I just sent me in that crowd. Do you are you the same way?
Yes. Yeah. My husband, if we get to go on a date, that's what we do. We get coffee, and he's not a big bookstore fan, but he knows that's where I want to go. So,
Yeah,
bookstore. Yeah.
that's like my husband's the same way too. He's like, well, he doesn't even like coffee, so he's all right, I'll go flip through some books with you, and then and then after we do this, we could do what you want to do. But let me just
Yeah.
go through the bookstore and see what kind of books are out there. And I never
Yeah.
really, I thought actually, where is the reflection there? There is my whole like knitting crochet books. Oh, and there too. I'm actually gonna. I've been reading Essentialism and re-listening to The Magic Art of Tidying by Marie Kondo. I know that you've read that book, right?
Yes.
Yes, and love that.
Yes.
And I re-listened to it again recently because I'm trying to still pare down. And it's funny because every time like life gets crazy and you feel like when I feel overwhelmed, that's usually my first go-to is I probably still have too much stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm like, so one of the things I'm gonna do is go through those books and see what sparks joy and then get rid of the rest. And that's going to be hard because
I know it is hard.
Because this is the sentimental area, you know what I mean? Like that's the part where it's like more precious than pictures, more precious than
Right.
the memories, because we're like, oh, if I get rid of that, like what if I need it one day? But I'm starting to realize that if I ever learn anything or do anything, it's most likely going to happen real fast, and it's going to be on the internet if I need to quickly, you know what I mean?
True.
And I feel like
Yeah.
I'm past that stage of like flipping through certain books like to get inspired, especially now in this Facebook group. Julie's a member of the Dare to Be Original Facebook group, especially in there because there's so much inspiration in there that I'm like, that's usually enough. I don't need to go to that bookstore like I used to,
That's true.
for the Facebook group,
Yeah.
But so if you're so what are you doing right now that since you're not active on Etsy, like what are you doing right now?
Right now I am working on building up some stock for fall and winter. And I actually sold items in a local shop on sort of consignment last year. It's a small gift shop that opened last fall. And actually a year ago today, I think today is her 1-year anniversary. It's on our little Main Street shopping area. And so I was fortunate to be able to stock some winter and, Christmas items there last year. And so I'm building up some stock to take back there and, for the holidays and also possibly to, get my Etsy shop filled too. So.
Julie, that's awesome. That's been one of my dreams. That's like one of my bucket lists is to get my stuff inside a store. Tell us a little bit more about that process and how that works.
She contacted, well, actually, she put out a call on Facebook. I already knew this young lady, and we had met through a job that I had worked a few years ago. And so she was taking over this shop. It was already an existing shop, but she was changing it to something a little bit different and taking vendors on consignment. And so she put out a call on Facebook to people that, did crafts or had something that they sold. And so I contacted her, and she usually would charge a fee, a flat fee per month for a space. My items were smaller than what some people, she's got people that paint pictures and, clothing, some that sell clothing that they order from,
Right.
From market. And so there's different types of stuff, but because my items were smaller, she just charged me a percentage per sale instead of the $75 a month that she was charging some of the larger vendors. So.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, tell us what's the difference between that consignment and what's the other one? There's another way. I'm drawing a blank on consignment, and there's another term of it's not wholesale. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, possibly wholesale could be what you are talking about. Wholesale, I think, is where you basically make a large stock of items, whatever that is, and take it to the shop, and then they probably purchase those at a lower rate than what you would sell if you were selling each one retail.
That's right.
So they go ahead and buy it, and then when you're on consignment like I am with her, she doesn't own my stuff, so I'm just taking it there and basically to display. So I go ahead and price it, and then people buy it there, and then she keeps the percentage, which she charges me 20%. So she would keep 20% of the sale. And then, as seasons change, I can go in and just go ahead and pull my stock out and replace it with something different. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And this has been a year?
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing this for a year? That's amazing. That's a great deal to have. And 20% is not bad to house, you know what I mean? It's not bad to house.
Right.
And
yeah.
so just for anybody that's the difference of anybody watching, so Etsy charges you, is it I think it's like 3% or 3 point something percent to list an item for 3 months. And then they also take a certain percentage, I would say maybe another 3% or something. I can't remember, like minuscule numbers of the price of the final sale. So you know what I mean? Like when you think of the numbers that are like the fees that come out of it, you know what I mean, and what you end up net worth, you know what I mean, at the back end of it, it's very small to have. And I think that's a great number. Like that's a great deal that she was, you know what I mean, that you were able to find somebody that not let you pay the 75 off, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
yeah.
you were able to work out a percentage deal with it. That's amazing. Yeah. There's a couple of shops around here. Like we don't have anything like that, or maybe I'm just too shy and an introvert to go look around.
Yeah.
Myself, you know what I mean, to go look around and see if I can get into anything. But so I feel like for my safety's sake, you know, I just mentally, like I just do go the Etsy route and just I'll hold everything and store everything and pray for the sale and work on the internet. But I like the being in the storefront and people can actually touch and feel your stuff, and you know what I mean. And have you, so how often are you going back to change out the item or checking out the store? Does she keep you?
I did about once a month through the cooler months. I haven't stocked stuff throughout the past probably 3 months because we do live in a climate where unfortunately crochet items don't necessarily sell very well in the warmer months because it's so hot. There were some smaller items that I just left there, summer cookies and things like that. But about once a month during the cooler months, I would go back and restock and check on how the stock was doing. So,
So does she get back to you? Like, does she let you know, or is it just up to you to go and?
She would, if I had sales and I had a check to pick up, she would always, let us know or let each vendor know at the beginning of the month when the checks were ready. Right. And then if there's a certain event that's going on in her shop, she, like a certain sale or something like that, or some kind of event that they were having in the downtown area, then she would, send a reminder and say, hey, this is coming up. You might want to send some extra stock for this. So.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, this is so fascinating to me. I love that.
Yeah,
that's great. That's fun. That's really awesome to get a hold of. So no wonder why your Etsy shop is kind of on the side. You're busy making and you're trying to fill in for like the real physical space,
Right. Yeah. And then some of my orders last year at Christmas time, right before Christmas, actually came through there too. Like, she had a certain lady that saw a scarf that I took in there that sold like immediately, and she wanted some in other colors. So, she let me know. I have somebody that's wanting to order one of those in, this color and this color. So I was, even making stuff for orders to fulfill through her as well. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you leave your card at the shop there? Like, so do they know how to get a hold of you, or does she keep it like?
I didn't there. I actually don't put my card on those items because I actually didn't want people to I was very careful. I didn't want people to be contacting me directly and cutting her out of the sale. So I don't put my business card on those items.
I was wondering about that. That's cool. I was wondering about that. Like, so if they're like contacting you directly, you know what I mean? They would have bought bought her out. And at the same time, like that's the great, yeah, let's just touch on this a bit. That's a great thing about, you know, running a business, and how you, because some people conduct themselves in certain different ways, and I like that deal that you made, because even, you know what I mean, obviously she's super sweet in letting you have your, you know, percentage, and not like charging you like that 75 a month, you know what I mean, being respectful to you in that way, because you're not taking up the space, you know what I mean, so why overcharge you, and at the same time you being respectful of her, you know what I mean, and not cut her out of the middleman, because that's how she's getting your name out, and by you being in that shop. Like that, I love that. I love that that camaraderie and that relationship, you know what I mean, that you build. And that's essentially what these, like, you know, having your own business is about, is relationships, you know, is between other sellers, between you and, you know, and just to touch base just a little bit about when it's funny, because we're always like, you know, my big message is that we're not each other's competition, you know, when we're not each other's competition. And like consignment shops and all handmade stuff, we're not. Like, you can make a scarf and your scarf is very different from mine. We could follow the same pattern, and we would still, it would still be different. It would still be, you know what I mean? Like, your hands are not my hands. So I don't, like, you know what I mean? I think that's the beauty of handmade. It's that we're never in that competition mode. So I love, like, building relationships and sharing with other sellers. I mean, that's the point of these interviews. Like, you take the time off to talk with me, and to basically help other people that are watching this, and to encourage them to do, you know what I mean, to pursue it, and to don't be afraid, and to don't, you know, and you don't have to have this perfect scenario, and you don't need to know all these people, and you don't have to be like super skilled. You don't need to be technologically like inclined. You don't need all that to have this perfect scenario before you pursue your dream. You know what I mean? You can start in little steps. You can find like these free videos, and you can, you know, and watch how people are doing things, and then take the time and implement them, you know, slowly into your life. Like look at Julie having Alabella Lane since 2015, and she has one item in the listing right now on Etsy, and Etsy will always be there. It will, you know what I mean, when you're ready. And now that because right now the season is you're pursuing to fill in the consignment shop, you know, the physical store. And you also take orders, like custom orders, right? Like local custom orders?
I do. Yeah, that's actually how I started, really, you know, a couple of years ago at Christmas, well, at Halloween, my son wanted to be a certain character for Halloween. And so I made a hat, and it was ridiculously too big. I didn't, you know, count stitches as I went around. And so it was silly. And I posted a silly picture on my personal Facebook, and you know, I told him, I said, I'll remake it, you know, correctly, and it'll fit. And he didn't want me to. He just wanted that one. He said, it's fine. So that's how I started, just by that picture, and people saw that, and then they started ordering these character hats for Christmas. And I made those the correct way, and I actually counted my stitches. But, you know, I thought, wow, people want to pay me to do, you know, to do this. So yeah, I take custom orders from, you know, friends and family, and yeah. So that's actually the one sale that I did on Etsy. That's what it was a custom, something that I had never done before. And a friend contacted me and said, I have a friend that, you know, wants this for her baby. And so that's what I did.
That's amazing. I love that. That's actually how I came to be about the same way. Is I would make stuff, and I never had any intentions of selling anything. I was just making because I loved the craft, and I was just trying to learn it. And basically, you know, knit and crochet is just my therapy. You know, I just do it because to de-stress and everything. And then over the times, people would be like, "Oh my God, how much are you selling these for? I would totally pay you for it." You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's exactly how I started too. In the same way, is that friends and family and coworkers would see me wear something, you know, and I landed, and then I made dolls, and people had kids, and they wanted their little girls to have a handmade doll, and that did well for a while. But doll making was just too too much for me, like hour wise. It was like in the beginning, it took me 2 weeks to make, and then I got it down to 48 hours, and then
Yeah.
I got great enough to make 24 hours. You know what I mean? But how much would I have to charge to recoup that, you know?
Right.
And I obviously was not. So turns out like I was probably making 50 cents an hour.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's amazing how like obviously we're all working on pricing and how to be comfortable and then eventually make a living out of it, and it's a long process. But over the time I was doing the dolls, it was just getting to be too much. So what I settled, how I settled on scarves, and being that is because I love scarves. I'm from Laos, and that's by the equator, and so my body is just made for warm climate. But I'm in Pennsylvania, and we get some cold winters, you know what I mean? And not only that, but now in the summer where everybody's air conditioned, I'm in sweaters. I'm in sweaters and in scarves all year round.
Right.
So that's how I settled with I'm going to make scarves. I think I'm just going to be a scarf expert because I love scarves. So if I never sell another scarf in my life again, guess who's wearing them, Julie?
Right, exactly. And I was told not that long ago that, if you don't love to make something, don't do it. If you don't enjoy making it, don't make it. So that's a great point that you
Yes.
made. You
Yes.
have to enjoy it.
I'm definitely, yeah, I'm definitely glad that you reemphasize that, because that is a great point. And it took me a long time to get to that stage, you know what I mean? And to get to it, because I would try to force myself in the beginning. Like I was like, yeah, I'll make your hats. I'll do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Because I essentially can, like I've never even, half the time I've never done stuff, but I could read the pattern. I could, you know what I mean? Or I could copy something and see if I can figure out, like, whatever you want, I would do it. And I became that I'll do whatever you want
Right.
kind of person. Then I just realized I'm like, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
then,
I'll try anything once, I guess, but then I don't
yeah,
know. Don't
that's half the
know.
time. Like, yeah, it's all about learning the thing, and that's why I buy patterns. Is I don't really like buy patterns to follow patterns. I buy patterns to learn a new stitch, basically, and to see how something is done, and then I end up doing whatever I end up doing myself anyway. So, but yeah, like you really got to love what you're doing, and that's a great point. Well, thank you, Julie, for doing this with me. I'm so glad. I just want to take a quick second to commend Julie, because there and it has to just be said, that when people normally people like I've reached out to a lot of people to try to get these interviews, because I know a lot of people inside the Facebook group. We're approaching 900 members inside this Facebook group, and not everybody's a knitter crocheter. Like this is all arts, all, you know what I mean? We have artisans, jewelry maker like Asa, and painters. I'm gonna get some artists lined up hopefully pretty soon, and I'm working on that. And so I just want to share people with just creators and makers. And when I approached Julie and asked her, for somebody who's not like, who has her arts and crafts like slightly on the back burner, she still said, yeah,
I did.
I will definitely, yeah, I'll do an interview. Like, I love that. Like, and I just want to commend you for that, because a lot of people have come back to me and be like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not really doing anything. What could I possibly be talking about? You know what I mean? And I'm just so glad that you just said yes. And you're like, oh, eventually it'll fall into place. And you know what the best part about this, Julie, is when your shop is fully active, when it's fully, like, you know what I mean, on course, you will always have this interview to refer back to. You will always have this interview to share and go, you guys want to know a little bit more about me? I did a great interview with Vone, and you go check out this link, and you will always have that. But the fact that you knew about it and embraced that moment is commendable. It's commendable. And for a recovering perfectionist and procrastinator and all that stuff, like, I definitely applaud you for that. And I was just like, wow, that's great.
Thank you.
So I will leave all of Julie's links below. So you got your Facebook, Instagram and your Etsy shop, and then when she's fully, and then what is the name of the consignment shop that you're in? So in case
It's called The Weathered Arrow.
Okay, The Weathered Arrow, and you're in what city?
McMinnville, Tennessee.
Okay, so if you guys are around that area, go to check out that shop and go check out Bella Lane's Julie stuff and support her because she's amazing.
Thank you. Thank
Great.
you.
And good luck with your nonprofit too.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. And I will see you guys next week with something else. So hopefully another great interview or something else lined up. I'm not sure how. I've been doing so many of these interviews and I'm absolutely loving them. So I'm just trying to hoard as many people that will want to talk to me. So hopefully I'll get some more interviews lined up, but if not, then regular programming as usual. So have a great week, guys, and I will see you then. And thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the Facebook group.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.